If you have ever tried to serve a heavy oaky red wine alongside a delicate bright appetizer.
Oh, you already know the culinary car crash we are trying to avoid today.
Exactly. Welcome to this deep dive. Today we are taking you on a brilliant culinary journey to master two very specific arts, crafting the quintessential Italian summer cocktail, the Aperol Spritz, and executing the ultimate progressive Italian dinner party.
And we are pulling the blueprint for this from, well, a fantastic collaboration over on the YouTube channel, Flour, Eggs, and Yeast. They recently hit a massive milestone, closing in on 4,000 watch hours. And to celebrate, they put together this Buzz with Your Cuz event.
Right, which is such a fun name.
It really is. But what stands out isn't just the milestone itself, it's the highly structured, intentional way they chose to celebrate it. We are going to unpack the science of congruent flavor pairing and dissect a closely guarded cocktail recipe from 1919 that acts as the anchor for the entire evening.
The format they chose is just, it's so clever. Instead of a standard backyard get-together, they structured this as a virtual progressive dinner party.
Yeah.
Now, if you are familiar with the progressive concept, you know the physical version involves moving from house to house for each course.
Right, jumping from dining room to dining room.
Exactly. But here, they've adapted it beautifully for the digital age. You, as the guest, are virtually moving between different creators' channels for each stage of the meal.
It completely shifts the vibe from, a chaotic, throw everything on the grill, barbecue environment to a highly curated, almost black tie event aesthetic.
It really does. It forces a level of pacing and appreciation that you rarely get at a casual potluck when you look at the menu progression they designed.
It's basically a masterclass in building a flavor narrative.
Right. You kick things off with appetizers hosted by Miss Sonia Elaine. She brings out an heirloom rainbow tomato frico paired with crispy prosciutto Tuscan melon shots.
Which is such a brilliant opening move. You have the acidity and visual pop of the heirloom tomatoes, the rich, salty crunch of the prosciutto, and that hydrating, subtle sweetness from the Tuscan melon. It wakes up the palate without weighing you down at all.
Totally. And from there, the progression seamlessly hands you off to Jerry Ellen over at Cooking with Neighbors for the entree. She goes with the classic chicken piccata,
Which maintains that bright, acidic through line. The lemon and capers in a piccata are vibrant and sharp, while the butter and chicken provide just enough savory grounding.
Yeah, it's perfectly balanced.
And then you transition into dessert in the kitchen, with Karen. She serves a lemon ricotta cake topped with fresh berries.
Again, we see this deliberate echo of citrus and lightness.
Exactly. Finally, to tie the entire multi-course experience together, you land with Cam at Flour, Eggs, and Yeast for the drinks.
But this is where the execution can easily fall apart if you aren't careful.
Oh, absolutely.
When you have a menu absolutely packed with these bright, citrusy, delicate flavors, the beverage choice is make or break. You can't just open whatever happens to be seating on your counter.
No, you definitely cannot.
And this brings us right to the concept of congruent flavor pairing.
Right. In the culinary world, congruent pairing is the secret to a unified dining experience. It means you are deliberately matching similar flavor profiles and intensities across both the food and the beverage.
You want the drink to act as a bridge between the courses.
Yes, enhancing the dishes rather than fighting them for dominance. When the flavors are congruent, the entire meal just feels effortless and cohesive.
Let's look at a prime example of what not to do, because it is a trap so many well-meaning hosts fall into.
Oh, the red wine trap.
Yes. You are hosting an Italian dinner party, so your immediate instinct might be to pull out a heavy, robust Italian red wine, maybe a beautiful, expensive Chianti.
Sure, it sounds fancy.
Right. But a heavy red wine will actively go to war with the delicate flavors of an heirloom tomato frico or a chicken piccata.
It is a fundamental mismatch of chemical structure. A heavy red like Chianti is packed with strong tannins and deep, dark fruit notes. Tannins chemically crave heavy proteins and rich fats to bind to.
Like a thick ribeye steak or a rich bolognese.
Exactly. So if you serve that wine with a light chicken piccata, those tannins have nothing heavy to latch onto.
So the wine just steamrolls right over the food. The lemon and capers get completely lost. The wine itself can actually start to taste harsh or even metallic.
And the guests are left wondering why this beautiful meal just feels incredibly heavy and off balance.
That is the exact opposite of the relaxed atmosphere you are trying to cultivate.
Exactly. Congruent pairing ensures the flavors dance together. But of course, a great host knows that not everyone at the table is drinking wine or cocktails.
Right.
Maintaining that congruent pairing for beer drinkers where those skipping alcohol altogether is just as crucial for a successful gathering.
You have to have a strategy for inclusivity,
You really do.
which they address perfectly. For the beer drinkers, you want to lean into a light Italian beer with a bitter finish. The specific recommendation here is Peroni, straight from Rome.
It has that crisp, light profile that complements the citrus in the chicken piccata.
And that slight bitterness at the end helps cleanse the palate between bites of the prosciutto and melon.
And we absolutely must talk about the guests who do not consume alcohol. A dinner party is ultimately about hospitality. Essential items you need to have fully stocked are club soda, regular soda, and plenty of high-quality water.
But don't just hand them a plastic bottle.
Never. Serve these alternatives beautifully, using the same glassware and the same fresh garnishes you use for the cocktails. It ensures that non-drinking guests feel just as pampered and integrated into the progressive sequence as everyone else.
That attention to detail is what elevates the night. But for those who are indulging, the absolute star of the show, the drink that Cam uses to anchor this entire progressive menu, is the classic Aperol Spritz.
A true classic.
Now, we all know the general role of a good aperitivo in Italian cocktail culture. But what is fascinating here is how the specific botanical profile of this drink is weaponized to enhance the food.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. Weaponized botanicals. An aperitif or aperitivo isn't just a pre-dinner drink. It is a functional beverage.
For the novices out there, what does that actually mean?
It is purposefully designed with a delicate balance of sweet and slightly bitter flavors, usually with a lower alcohol content. That specific bitterness actually triggers your digestive system. It physically wakes up your palate and preps your stomach for the richer courses to come, like that lemon ricotta cake.
And the history behind this specific bottle is wild. The Aperol Spritz originated in 1919.
Wow, over a century ago.
Yeah. It was created by the Barbieri brothers up in northeast Italy, specifically around the Venice region, where it was initially known as the Spritz Veneziano.
Right?
Think about the dedication here. They didn't just mix some juices in a bathtub. It took them 7 full years of meticulous tweaking and tasting to perfect this recipe.
7 years to lock in a flavor profile that has survived for over a century. And perhaps the most remarkable part of that legacy is the secrecy. Over 100 years later, the exact formula remains a fiercely guarded mystery.
That is crazy to me.
It really is. We know the broad strokes, like it contains sweet and bitter oranges, various herbs and roots, but the precise botanical ratios are known only to the brand.
It is entirely unique, and the spirit sits at a very approachable 22 to 23% ABV. If you compare its flavor profile to other popular Italian options, like its famous cousin Campari, Aperol is noticeably sweeter and significantly less bitter.
Which makes it incredibly versatile and accessible for people who might be put off by intensely bitter liqueurs.
That versatility is key. Originally, the Spritz Veneziano was enjoyed strictly alongside small plates, but today its bright profile allows it to work anywhere and anytime.
It has transcended being just a drink. It is the liquid embodiment of the Italian aperitivo hour.
Yeah, that cultural tradition is entirely about social connection.
It is the deliberate, magical window between the chaos of the workday and the formal sit-down of dinner. It forces you to slow down and transition gracefully into the evening.
So let's get highly tactical. Let's break down the step-by-step guide on how you can build this perfect mix at home, because as any cocktail novice will tell you, having the right ingredients is only half the battle.
Technique and presentation are what actually deliver the experience.
Exactly. It all starts with the glass. You might assume a cocktail this famous requires a massive specialized goblet, but the ideal choice is actually a standard white wine glass.
The geometry of the glass matters immensely. A white wine glass has a slightly smaller opening at the top compared to a large, wide-bowled red wine glass.
Right, the red ones are huge.
Exactly. So that narrower opening of the white wine glass acts as a funnel, concentrating those beautiful herbal and citrus aromas right under your nose every single time you take a sip. You are trapping the aromatics.
But before we put anything in that glass, we need to talk about novice safety, particularly when handling glassware and ice.
Oh, this is so important.
High-quality wine glasses are incredibly thin and delicate. The ultimate party foul, the fastest way to completely ruin the elegant atmosphere you've built, is breaking a glass directly into your ice bin.
It is a disaster you want to avoid at all costs. You should absolutely never use the delicate wine glass itself to scoop ice.
Just don't do it.
You must always use your hands or a dedicated ice scoop to gently fill the glass. And you want to fill it about 3/4 full of ice.
2/4. Got it.
Yeah, that volume of ice keeps the drink properly chilled without over-diluting the carbonation too quickly.
Okay, the glass is safely 3/4 full of ice. Now we hit the ratios. If you look up a traditional Aperol Spritz, you will almost always find a 1-to-1-to-1 approach. Equal parts Prosecco and Aperol, finished with a splash of club soda.
Right, that's the standard.
But watching Cam build this for the dinner party, he advocates for tweaking that to achieve a very specific flavor profile that pairs better with the food.
The standard equal parts ratio can sometimes lean a bit too heavily into the bitter herbal notes for some palates. If you want a drink that is slightly sweeter and a little less aggressively bitter, which pairs beautifully with the savory prosciutto and the bright chicken piccata, you adjust to a 3-to-2 ratio.
The golden ratio. That is 3 ounces of dry Prosecco and 2 ounces of Aperol.
And the choice of that 3 ounces of Prosecco is not something to overlook. Cam specifically recommends a Rufino dry Prosecco.
Why that one specifically?
Because Rufino has these distinct, bright hints of peach and golden apples. Think about what happens when you combine those tasting notes. You are taking the bright orchard fruit of the Rufino Prosecco and layering it over the bittersweet herbal orange of the Aperol.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
It creates this deeply complex, highly refreshing beverage. But how you layer them, the sequence of the pour, is just as critical as the ingredients themselves.
Yes, the build is where the magic happens. You want to pour your 3 ounces of carbonated Prosecco over the ice first. Then, you follow that by pouring your 2 ounces of Aperol over the Prosecco. Finally, you top it all off with a quick splash of club soda.
The reason for this specific sequence is fluid dynamics.
Science!
Exactly. Aperol is denser and heavier than Prosecco. By pouring the lighter, highly carbonated Prosecco first and dropping the heavier Aperol on top of it, the Aperol sinks through the bubbles.
Oh, I see.
The carbonation of the Prosecco and the club soda naturally mixes the drink for you. You don't have to get in there and stir it aggressively, which would immediately kill all those precious bubbles you just paid for.
It is a self-mixing cocktail. It starts sweet on the tip of the tongue and finishes with that signature palate-cleansing bitterness. But you're not done until you execute the garnish. You drop a fresh, thick slice of orange directly into the glass.
And this is not just to make it look pretty for a YouTube thumbnail.
No, not at all. It profoundly enhances the overall sensory experience.
We talked about the white wine glass trapping aromas. When you bring that glass to your lips, the smaller opening forces you to breathe in the essential oils from that fresh orange rind. It smells exactly like an orange you just snapped right off a branch.
That is so true.
It layers this fresh, nature-infused aroma over the botanical bitterness of the liqueur. It truly screams quintessential Italian summer.
It is a multi-sensory trigger. You are tasting the bright citrusy oils before the liquid ever even touches your palate. And because of that congruent pairing we established earlier, this exact flavor profile acts as the ultimate culinary bridge.
It bridges everything perfectly.
The crisp carbonation cuts right through the richness of Miss Sonia Elaine's tomato frico cheese, while the sweet bitter orange complements the bright lemon in Karen's ricotta cake flawlessly.
It demonstrates such high intentionality. Hosting a progressive dinner party, even a virtual one involving different guest contributors, requires classing it up. It is about ensuring the sequence of drinks and food flows logically.
And part of that intentionality is making sure your guests are actually engaged, not just passively consuming what you put in front of them.
The creators of this collaboration handle that engagement brilliantly. It isn't just a sterile cooking demonstration. Cam and his co-host Teresa turn the cocktail build into a playful competition.
Yes. They both construct these beautifully designed, fully garnished drinks, and then they hold them up to the camera and actively ask the viewers to hit the comments section.
They want the audience to discuss their thoughts and vote on whose drink is actually the prettiest.
It breaks the fourth wall in the best way possible. Teresa argues her orange slices are aesthetically superior, while Cam jokingly claims his official buzz with your sack, because T-shirt gives his drink setup the competitive edge.
That kind of playful banter is exactly how you foster a relaxed atmosphere, whether you are managing a YouTube community of thousands or just hosting 4 friends at your dining table.
Exactly. The ultimate goal of this entire endeavor, the food, the perfectly mixed drinks, the careful pacing, is captured perfectly in their channel's philosophy. Catching a buzz with your cuz.
I'll love that.
It is about taking the time this year, regardless of who you were with, to celebrate the people around you. It is about creating a space where you can start the night together, enjoy multiple courses without ever feeling rushed, and genuinely connect.
A multi-course dinner is a medium for memory making. When you take the time to understand why a light beer works better than a heavy Chianti, or why a 3-to-2 ratio makes your cocktail more accessible to your guests, you aren't just showing off culinary trivia.
Right.
You are using food and drink to honor the time you are sharing with others.
So let's do a quick wrap-up of the key learnings from today's deep dive, so you are fully armed to host your own incredible gathering. First, we explored the absolute necessity of congruent flavor pairing.
Crucial step.
If you are serving a menu full of bright, delicate dishes like Tuscan melon or chicken piccata, you have to match that intensity. Lean into a crisp Peroni or an Aperol Spritz and leave the heavy, tannin-rich red wines in the cellar so everyone can actually enjoy the meal.
We also laid out the critical safety and technique steps for your glassware. To maximize the aroma of your cocktail, always opt for a white wine glass, but protect that delicate glass at all costs. Never use it to scoop ice from the bin.
Never.
Gently fill it 3/4 full by hand to avoid a catastrophic party foul.
And finally, we revealed how to master that flavor profile.
Yeah.
If the traditional recipe is too bitter for you, utilize the 3-to-2 ratio. Pour 3 ounces of a bright, peach-forward dry Prosecco like Ruffino. Let 2 ounces of Aperol sink through those bubbles. Top it with a splash of club soda, and seal the deal with that highly aromatic fresh orange slice.
Whether you are hosting a meticulously planned, multi-course progressive dinner party with featured guests, or you are simply relaxing on the patio enjoying the sunset, taking the time to create the perfect drink elevates the moment. There is always time to buzz with your cuz.
We want to warmly invite you to tune in next week for a very special treat as we continue to tear down complex topics and find new ways to elevate your everyday experiences.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to mull over. We talked about how the Barbieri brothers spent 7 years developing the Aperol recipe in Venice, and how they've managed to keep that exact botanical formula a closely guarded secret since 1919. Millions of people drink it every single summer, completely unaware of exactly what is in their glass. Makes you wonder, what other everyday flavors, ubiquitous spices, or common sauces currently sitting in your own kitchen pantry right now might be hiding centuries of mystery and untold history in plain sight?
That is definitely something to think about the next time you are staring blindly into your spice cabinet. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Cheers, and we will catch you next time.